All right, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to another great episode on your favorite political talk show, The Truth, with Ben Jokes. Abuja Electricity Company announces power outages in Airport Road, American Embassy Quarters, other areas of Nigerian capital. This is how the people of the FCT are starting out the year 2025. Some areas have not had up to 9 hours of electricity since 1st of January. And all of these people have seen their light bills rise from about 7,000 naira to 18,000 naira and even more in the last few months. What a tragedy, paying for electricity that you do not even consume. But as I've pointed out before, electricity tariffs are still going to increase drastically this 2025 because Tinubu claimed he paid 199 billion naira as electricity subsidy in December 2024 alone. This one is coming 6 months after he claimed he had removed subsidy and the tariff increased. This talk on 199 billion subsidy payments in December is going to give birth to another big increase in electricity tariffs because soon he will return and say he wants to remove that 199 billion naira he is paying monthly. All for electricity that is not even available to Nigerians. And few hours ago, Nigerians were directly told to expect their first heartbreak of the year 2025, a massive tariff increase to worsen the plight of Nigerians, and concurrently, a very shameful update from the Tinubu camp began making the rounds. To the shock of Nigerians, Tinubu camp have returned to blaming Peter Obi for the failures of the Tinubu regime. After 19 months of abject failure, another man should take all the blame. What a shame. Before I show you details of these top stories and how Nigerians reacted, let me quickly show you these videos. The first video here is that of the National Secretary of Coalition of Political Parties in Nigeria reacting to Peter Obi's recent criticisms of the Tinubu regime. See the video.
It's about talk, and Nigerians are not seeing the action. You don't print out the economic, blue paper without Nigerians feeling the reality of how the governance system is supposed to operate. If there's one of the statement from the spokesperson, it will leave me bewildered because it's very embarrassing for you to say this advice is needless when the statistics are obvious. When you look at it, about 56% of Nigerians are living, in multidimensional poverty. That's about 129 million Nigerians. If you look at the fact that we have the last statistic that was released by the MBS, you have 2.2 trillion paid to kidnappers. That 2 million Nigerians were kidnapped, and that means our farm system is not. If people can't go to farm, people are not secured in government places. We have about 39.6 million arable land to farm on, and Nigerians are not utilizing it. The president has made promises about trying to dive into agriculture until 500 hectares farmland. He has not kept that. There's no reality that is more obvious than the hunger on the streets of Nigeria. The Nigerians are suffering, and the pain is obvious, and the lack of physical discipline within this government, for them to be able to have a budgetary provisions that will actually drive poverty out of the country, for them to have a budgetary provision that is not self-serving or self-seeking. Because if you look at the current budget, about 4 billion has been budgeted to build jetties and helipad in Lagos, about 4.6 billion to buy vehicles, 5.4 billion to renovate the presidential villa, and 9.4 billion for trips and entertainment for the president and the vice president. This kind of budgetary system, that has these repeated line items, will not take Nigeria out of poverty. And for the APC to not see a thought out advice that will help the Nigerian economy to grow and develop, and then have a system that is responsive and respect the true situation of this country. The statistics is not something we produce or people outside manufacture. It's even coming from government. So the reality on the street is what we talk about. You can't have a system where you have this level of kidnapping. You have a system that one of the primary purpose of government is that government must be able to provide for security for life and property. And when government fail to do that, and government need to seek necessary help from those who can give them the advice. So whatever Peter Obi has said today about the very dark situation that Nigeria found itself since Bola Ahmed Tinubu took over is the reality. Because if you look at our naira debt. We were at 87 trillion. When over the last 20 months, our debt had jumped from 87 trillion to 130 trillion in the last 20 months. And so what are we doing with the money? Is this money being put into productive use or used to serve the exorbitant, luxurious lifestyles of those in government? So we need government to come to us hard questions. We don't need these rhetorics that people come about and say, oh, my friend was driving a limousine or something and now he drives an Honda. You should imagine that those who were driving Honda, what are they driving today?
You heard that. That was Mr. Amed Peter calling a spade a spade. This government has failed to do anything meaningful for Nigerians. The 2025 budget is a scam. It is filled with the same shameful allocations that the previous failed 2024 budget had. In just 19 months, Tinubu raised the nation's debt profile from 87 trillion to about 138 trillion. Yet, citizens are poorer and hungrier, and they can't even point at one area of infrastructure that has improved under this regime. Peter Obi simply summarized their activities in the last 19 months and handed it over to them in that interview. But it seems even they cannot believe how bad they have performed. And as such, they are arguing with facts of their own performances. What a shame. Next video here is from Professor Udenta. Professor also did a kind of mini summary of Tinubu's 19 months. See the video.
Mindset of the president and his team. New Year Day, there was a message to Nigerians. Before then, there was a media chat. Before then, there was tax bills sent to the National Assembly.
Yes.
And then further back, 2023, there was subsidy. Subsidy is gone, and gone for good.
Yes.
Each one of these will constitute elements of a process. But the subsidy is gone on inauguration day, both the submission of the tax reform bills, both the context and the content of the media chart, and then equally the New Year message, produces a graphic picture about the president, the presidential team, his focus both on the economy, on policies, on politics, and democracy. What is that is very clear for Nigerians to understand is simple. There is a creeping new messianic streak you find that is resistant to conversation and dialogue and respect of diversities. And this new messianism is folded around or wrapped around what one can call incrustations of false divinity. You know, divinity is like when you are like a god. You do no wrong.
Yes.
But God himself is humble to the degree that he listens to mortals. When the National Economic Council, forget the northern governors and northern political leaders, said, headed by his vice president, a constitutionally prescribed body with a mandate to advise the executive branch led by the president, pulled back the tariff reform bills away from the National Assembly for broader consultations. The vice president, not of PDP, but of APC, 36 governors of the subnationals, central bank governor, etc., etc. What did the president and his team say? Forget it. We're not going to put it back. It stays where it is, with the National Assembly that has vowed to do all his bidding, whether they are glorious or inglorious. 2, during the media chart, which I'm sure you guys participated in, you find that tone of condescension, of paternalism, of handing down, of arrogance that is almost insufferable to say, we know it all. There is no space for you to penetrate to give advice. It's in the context of that the governor of Bauchi State, for example, the chairman of the PDP Governors Forum, spoke up on Christmas Day and again on channels. One of the programs said, no, Mr. President, if the economic policies are not working well for the people, for those of us that are subnational, it's our duty as those who hold the baton there to speak up. Speak up, not to undermine you, but to give you some tough words based on tough love.
You heard that. And I hope you didn't miss the part where Professor said Shetima led the National Executive Council with the CBN governor to withdraw the tax reform bill from the Senate for further consultation. But Tinubu and his other team refused. They said no further consultation was needed. That shows you a divided house with people carrying around their selfish, ulterior motives. Where do you think this will lead Nigeria? There is only one destination: poverty and doom. Only God knows what will even be left of this country by 2027. At this rate, there might not be much left. So sad. Now, let us look at details of the top stories. First is that disgraceful speech from Aso Rock blaming Peter Obi for Tinubu's failure. Nigerians home and abroad are critical of the Tinubu administration, his obvious mismanagement of the economy, and the APC's attempt to shift the blame to Peter Obi backfired. And next is that update that signals the coming of another massive tariff increase that will touch every single Nigerian. Let's start by taking that update from Aso Rock. Look at how the papers reported it. Peter Obi bent on inciting Nigerians against Tinubu's government, APC. The All Progressive Congress has criticized Peter Obi, accusing the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 general election of inciting Nigerians against Bola Tinubu's administration. This comes after Mr. Peter Obi knocked Mr. Tinubu's government, expressing grave concerns over rising corruption, mismanagement, poverty, hardship, and an escalating debt profile under his leadership since taking office 18 months ago. In his New Year message, Mr. Obi, a former governor of Anambra State, noted that corruption had deeply entrenched itself in the government and nepotism had become the norm under Mr. Tinubu's administration. In a counter statement on Thursday night, the APC dismissed Mr. Obi's remarks, claiming he left no significant achievement during his 8-year tenure as governor of Anambra State. The statement, signed by APC national spokesperson Felix Moka, accused Mr. Peter Obi and PDP of making relentless attempts to incite public outrage against the Tinubu administration. Like his co-travelers in the People Democratic Party, Obi's obsessive pessimism and endless but futile efforts to incite public outrage against the administration is born out of their realization that Tinubu is unwittingly cementing their ultimate political irrelevance by his visionary and full-throttle reform and transformation of the fundamental pillars of our national life, Mr. Moka said. He added, Obi's New Year message, in which he claimed that the political, economic, and security situation of our dear country is worsening daily, is misleading and appears intended to score cheap political points. This claim, at a time when all indicators show that our country is rebounding in significant measures across all sectors, casts Obi squarely as Nigeria's leading doomsayer. You heard that? You know, sometimes when these men speak, you will begin to wonder if it is actually just political rhetorics or if they are under the influence of alcohol or drugs. Obi, who was an APGA governor and was named best governor in Nigeria by a PDP government. That is the person you are saying he left no impact in Anambra State. And then he went ahead to say that their reforms are showing positive impacts. What positive impacts? He said in all sectors. Please name one sector that has been transformed under Tinubu. Not even a single sector. And then he said Obi is inciting Nigerians against this government. This man must be crazy. So you are telling me that if the people are hungry, they don't know. If the people are unemployed, they don't know. If insecurity is eating up the country, the people don't know until Peter Obi tells them. Was it Obi that took the price of petrol from 195 naira per litre to 1,200 naira per litre? Was it not your government that did it? Was it Obi that took exchange rate from 700 naira to $1 to 1,640 naira to $1? And Akin Ogbeni here says, Nigeria 9+ years under APC, economy in comatose, naira value moribund, inflation stratospheric, insecurity pervasive, ethnic tensions heightened, corruption unprecedented, oil theft historic, 133 million Nigerians impoverished, desperation and despair across the nation rampant. APC is a cause. That is it. We don't even need Peter Obi to say it. And just as Nigerians were yet reacting to this, that update on a potential 100% increase in telecoms tariffs began making the rounds. Look at how the papers reported it. Telecoms are waiting NCC's approval of 100% tariff hike, MTN CEO. Telecommunications companies are waiting for the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) to approve their proposal to hike tariffs by 100%, MTN's Chief Executive Officer Carl Toriola said. Mr. Toriola said in an interview on Arise TV on Thursday that the tariff hikes, if approved, will enable them to sustain their business in the long term. Mr. Toriola's revelation came days after the Association of Licensed Telecommunications Operators of Nigeria outing said the industry faced a critical challenge requiring urgent attention. Its chairman, Gbenga Adebayo, said operators struggle to survive due to rising operational costs and stagnant tariffs. Telecommunication companies recently threatened that customers would experience service disruptions and poor telecom services in some areas unless tariffs were hiked. You heard that. The telecoms companies are saying that with the current economic reality, a tariff increase is inevitable. But we are not just looking at a mere increase here. We are looking at 100% increase in tariffs. Of course, this is the handiwork of Tinubu. He will take his own share of that increase through the taxes that those companies will pay. He has it all planned out. You won't even see him directly in the picture. Only smart Nigerians will be able to figure out what is happening here. Remember when I brought you the update on NCC denying that there would be increase in telecommunications tariffs, that they know that Nigerians are suffering, they will not go and increase tariff again. I told you that since they have come out to deny it, it will soon happen. Now this is it happening. It is already on their table waiting for approval, and they are all doing it together. The companies have come out to say that as a result of government policies, including taxations, they need to increase tariffs by 100% to be able to continue delivering their services to the people. So this is simply the handiwork of government. And believe me, it is not only telecoms tariff that will increase. Get set for increase in electricity tariffs. Get ready for increase in the fees of federal schools from primary schools to tertiary level. Get ready for increase in value-added tax, of course, 100% increase from 7.5 to 15%. And above all, get ready for an increase in the price of petrol. That is the one that will totally finish low and medium income earners in this country in this 2025. And look at how Nigerians reacted to this imminent increase in tariffs, in telecommunications tariff. Let's take a few tweet reactions. This tweet here by Olusegun Bakari, a very sarcastic tweet here. He said, "Best president ever, T-Pain of life." You know, anyone who was strongly against this administration, this is now like a time to say, "I told you." So it's not as if people are really rejoicing that Nigerians are suffering, you know, but when you point something out clearly, and there were some people who felt that, you know, for some other reasons they wouldn't listen to you, and everything you talked about is playing out, you cannot help but just say, "I told you." And Andy here says, "If we keep acting like all is well, majority of Nigerians will not be able to eat once a day this year." Well, I'm not being pessimistic and I'm not being a sadist, but I would like it to get to that point. Let it get to a point where the inflation will be totally, where nobody will even be able to come and sit down on Arise TV to say he wants to defend the policies. That is the level it has to come to, because I keep saying it. A country of over 200 million people, less than 1,000 people will just hold us to ransom, just because we are not able to keep our sentiments aside and unite and demand good governance. So maybe when it comes to a point where over 80% of the population is struggling with 1 meal in 2 days, that is when Nigerians will react. And Omega here says, "New year, new tariff." That is it. New year, new tariff. And this is just the beginning of tariff increase. Like I said, an increase in electricity tariff is coming. That one is sure. Because for Tinubu to drop that update that he paid subsidy of 199 billion for Nigerians in December alone on electricity, I am sure that before March, he will come out and say he wants to remove that subsidy. Therefore, electricity tariff must increase. And it's all a lie. I believe 100% that no subsidy was paid. It's just a plot to further increase tariffs and worsen poverty. But I'm not surprised. This is the APC. This is what they have come to do, to steal, to kill, and to destroy. And that is why I keep telling Nigerians that for us to even have a nation at all in the near future, we must cast sentiments aside, come together, and kick the APC out of power. But until then, make I still enter town. Make I go get some ogbonge political news. We una go like. Why? Because now because of una. Now I dey here. So don't go away. Don't go.